Hello and welcome to Quartzlight, your car brochure channel, and in today's episode, as you can see, the Mazda 323 hatch. Welcome back, and if you're new to Quartzlight, we're a car brochure channel here on YouTube, looking at car brochures from around the world for the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s, and sometimes beyond that as well. So if you're interested in cars and car brochures, please consider subscribing. Anyway, back to today's episode. Yes, indeed, it's the Mazda 323 hatchback. This particular example would be a third generation of this particular model, and it ran from 77 till 1980. This particular brochure is dated October 1978. Interestingly, in North America, this was actually called the Mazda GLC. GLC meaning great little car. What a weird little title it got for North America. Now, these little hatchbacks were actually rear-wheel drive at the time, and I kind of feel it was kind of the final incarnation of those rear-wheel drives, while they tried to, sort out the front-wheel drive versions for the next generation. Interesting looking little car. I'm in two minds. I don't know if it's an attractive car or not, but it's quite a striking car in the days where cars really look different from each other. Anyway, let's open the brochure up and see what we can find inside. As we turn off, we're greeted with a nice sort of rear shot of this particular car with some kind of like unusual little details like the factories there, etc. We'll start by zooming in on this hatch picture, I think. And there we go. First thing that strikes me is how high is this sill on this car? Obviously left like that for rigidity of the car itself, but you've got an awful long way to lift any luggage in to get it into this hatch, but certainly people were starting to want a hatch in Europe, so yes, it was needed, but like a lot of cars, like the earlier hatchbacks, a big lip to put things on. The other thing that strikes me about this car is the little 1.3 badge. It kind of like looks like it's been sort of tacked on as a bit of an afterthought in a very strange location. I mean, from this angle it doesn't even look straight, so that's a little bit strange. This brochure is featuring the 1 litre version and the 1.3, so I guess this is promoting this particular example as the top 1.3. And then on the next page we've got these various different unusual little images which we'll have a look at now. So I think safety and testing is really the idea of this particular page. And also this fantastic image of a Japanese, or presumably a Mazda shipping yard. That's a very unusual complex. Presumably it's where they build the cars as well, but what a great place, right next to the sea there. That's very nice. An image showing, crumple zones. So, and then this unusual kind of like blueprints sort of type design showing the engine, where it tells us our 1000 and 1300 engines have advantages over others. Our engines of overhead camshaft design with cross-flow aluminium cylinder heads for efficiency, 5-bearing crankshafts for strength, and a progressive 2-stage carb that ensures power with economy. They're the latest versions of an engine range that has a 12-year-long record for reliability, tireless performance and long engine life. And then a little bit of a look at the braking system, drum disc type design, telling us it's important to go from 60 to 0 as it is from 0 to 60. And then a little bit of a heading, the Mazda hatchback, we promise you be together a long time, kind of like promoting that sort of reliability of these cars, good anti-corrosion protection, etc, etc. I don't know how good these were for anti-corrosion protection, but of course 70s cars weren't the best, and I don't particularly feel that this was any better, to be honest. And then we get this page, a really nice page showing a few of the different colours you can get the 323 in. I always like 70s colours, nice bold colours that we're sadly missing these days. I think we'll certainly have a look at these images and some of the text. First of all, we get a nice image of a Japanese version with these very unusual wing mounted rear view mirrors. They look very interesting, a little bit of a Japanese slogan there on the number plate, kind of like promoting your aerodynamics. And then we get this lovely example in red. It says the easy way in and out, the vast doors plus front seats that slide forward ensure that getting in and out of a hatchback is comfortable and easy for all passengers. A high inside roofline enhances the sense of our spacious interior. Quite often in the two-door cars around about this time, they had doors that were really too big, and even though it promotes, you can open them wide to get people in and out, when you're in a car park, it's not so easy to do that, really, is it? And then an image of our 1.3 litre gold version, again showing these doors, how wide they open. We get a couple of nicely drawn suspension type images where it tells us our car's ride is even on the uneven. The hatchback strides just the right balance between road holding and ride comfort, thanks to anti-roll bar equipped independent front suspension and steel braced radial tyres all round. The coil sprung rear suspension is located with 4 trailing arms and a lateral rod. The combination was described after test by Autocar as follows: a series of runs across surfaces varying from cobbles to pave and including single bumps, waves and corrugations confirmed immediate impressions of a tight, sturdy car. The ride was supple and smooth, so not bad at all for the 70s. And possibly my favourite colour for these 323 is this lovely shade of blue. Look at the interior, it looks like we could also get it in this kind of lovely, very 70s sort of pea green colour, very nice. Black interior, seats look kind of like hard wearing but not the most comfortable, if I'm honest, but kind of like typical of the 70s. We've got metal showing at the tops of the doors, saying this is pretty much sort of a cheaper end of the market vehicle. And I kind of think Mazdas have really changed from these days, particularly with their SUVs. They seem to have very much aiming for a more upmarket audience, or buyer I should say. And another look at a red version. What strikes me here is you kind of like see red under the wing, so I'm not sure how much sort of sound deadening was in those wheel arches, or indeed how much rust corrosion protection was actually under there. Dashboard, and my first thought is lots of black, isn't it? Very dark, somber interior really, but quite uncluttered. But again, we're thinking pretty basic motoring really. And we do get a bit of a description of that dashboard. Our fascia is well laid out and well equipped. The hatchback 1000 has an impact absorbent dashboard in non-reflective matte black. It sports warning lights for the oil pressure generator, handbrake on, main beam and the brake fluid level. In addition to the speedometer, mileometer and fuel gauge, it has a water temperature gauge, plus a glove box, steering column lock, oddment trays, plus ashtrays front and rear. There are also switches for the headlamp flashers, electric washers and 2-speed wipers. The indicators and hazard warning lights on steering column stalks. And then this is more of a nice example in silver, the 5-door version. Much more practical, I'm going to say, than the 3-door. Although when we're talking about practicality, I think the main issue was that it was rear wheel drive, and on smaller cars you're certainly better with a front wheel drive layout really, because you have to maximize the space inside. So no doubt we did lose a bit of space by having that rear wheel drive design. and a picture of the fuel lid or fuel flap with a lock on it. Very sort of like utilitarian, really, with this big lock on there, telling us, yeah, for security we've now got a lock on there, but it's not a particularly nice looking locking system, really, is it? The text at the side tells us the Mazda hatchback offers you everything you expect from a modern family saloon and more besides. The Mazda hatchback is compact enough outside for crowded city streets, yet spacious enough inside for a full-grown family. Its sleek front end is aerodynamically styled to reduce drag and increase fuel economy, while its neat back end incorporates a full-width tailgate for luggage and loads. It goes on to tell us the Mazda hatchback range starts with the 1000. It's a rather special 3-door saloon with side doors as wide as a Ford Mustang's. Weird thing to say Ford Mustang or mention a Ford Mustang in a UK brochure, but there we go. And like I say, the doors open that wide isn't always a really good thing, to be honest. So your children can slip into the back seats without moving the seats in the front. Although it is the least expensive model in the range, it is far from basic, as a glance at the equipment chart on the back of the leaflet will quickly show, and we will certainly have a look at that. Its large glass area includes laminated windscreen, heated rear window, hinged side windows. There are chrome bumpers with rubber protective end fittings and rubber strips to ward off minor bumps and scratches. And you get nippy acceleration from the engine together with an impressive average fuel consumption. And then the next page, and you note with this brochure that this A4 sides tip to one side really makes a wide brochure, doesn't it? Anyway, these pages are really promoting the 1300 Deluxe with 3 and 5 doors, and you can certainly see that dashboard looks a lot nicer. Anyway, we'll have a look at some of these shots. And then we peek inside of this Deluxe version. Straight away, the fact that it hasn't got black seats, I think, really lifts it, and the matching door cards. You can just about glimpse at that sort of fake wood dash, which we'll see better in a moment. Looks like we've got a better quality carpet as well. Rather amusingly, the text here says, for the man, and in brackets, and woman. Woman is kind of like a bit of an afterthought, a typical very 70s thing, so, 70s was a strange time, wasn't it? Who wants everything? From its swivelling sun visors down to its thick cut pile carpet, the interior of our Deluxe hatchback is luxurious with a capital L. The assist straps have coat hooks, so there's even a place to hang your hat. Nice camera angle now, really shooting into that hatchback, showing how you can fold the seats down, split fold, nice in the 70s. It's making a very practical car, although like I said before, we do get that high lip, and the 1.3 badge again, I've struggled to live with. It just looks in a weird place to me, in a funny angle. Maybe that's just me. And as you can see, looks like we can have a little bit of an automatic option. Particularly unusual seats on this particular shot, if you notice. And kind of like a glimpse of a nicer steering wheel, I think. Then we get a proof that it is a split fold seat, and gives you a bit of a better shot showing that the seats are also in a two-tone colour. We do, of course, get this sort of centre hump at the back there because it is a rear-wheel drive car. And they're demonstrating that you can split the seats. Looks like a 50-50 split, or have it all the way down to create more room. And then continuing looking at the Deluxe version, I think the first thing you notice is that sort of wood trim. It certainly looks a nicer place. Steering wheel slightly different. We've got like these circles cut into it, giving it a more sporty design. Still no rev counter though, which I was a bit surprised about on a more Deluxe version, but nevertheless looks a much nicer design. Looks like the clock is right the way over here though. That's very unusual to be so far out, and I'm presuming this is a blanking plate, is it, for the radio? No picture of any radio though. And then we drove down to the river in this beautiful blue example. Again, it looks like this example has got sort of like a more checkered type seat. So yeah, black seat but broken up rather nicely with this sort of blue checkered type design. So there must have been lots of different seat options depending on what colour and what trim level you got. No sign of any door mirrors on this though. So the Mazda hatchback 1300 Deluxe with 3 and 5 doors, a lot more for those who can afford a little more. As if our hatchback 1000 model wasn't well equipped enough, we offer 2 models that are deluxe in the very fullest sense of the word. Both models provide the luxury of tinted glass plus a rear wiper and washer to keep the heated rear window clear. Inside you'll find a wood look trim on the dash and padded leather look trim on the steering wheel and gear shift knob. The instrument panels have variable lighting, an electric clock, a trip meter and a cigarette lighter. There's also a central parcel shelf for storage that includes a concealed document compartment. Underfoot there is wall-to-wall carpeting, while each side door has an armrest, grab handle and side window demister, of the type sometimes found on very much more expensive saloons apparently. The luggage cover rises and lowers automatically for easy access and to keep your personal effects out of public eye, but it can be easily removed and conveniently stored should you require the full expanse of the luggage space. The 3-door model also has front seats that automatically reset themselves after they slide forward for the rear seat access. All deluxe hatchbacks have individual folding rear seats and a tailgate lock that can be opened electronically from the driving seat. The 5-door version has child-proof locks on both rear side doors and it offers the option of an automatic transmission. And then the back page, specifications, equipment, etc. So we'll certainly have a look at that, but I think we'll just have a quick look at that engine picture. There you go, a little bit of a look at the engine compartment. Looks a nice little engine bay actually to work on. Looks like the bonnet tips forward though. And I kind of like the battery there at the top left hand corner there. Reminds me of the times when we used to have to pull those little red caps up and make sure our battery was topped up. So 3 versions available, the 1000, the 1300 Deluxe and the 1300 5-door Deluxe. Looks like they've all got a laminated windscreen, heated rear window, reversing lights, opening rear windows, lockable fuel cap, steel braced radial tyres, chrome bumpers and towing hooks front and rear. Black mesh vinyl seats just for that 1000, and vinyl seats I've never been a fan of, so yeah, I think you should try and get the Deluxe and get those cloth covered seats, I would suggest. Built-in head restraints on all of them though, which is nice. Fold down rear seats on them all. Oh, I see, so just individually folding that 50/50 just on the Deluxe, so the base model you had to fold the whole seat down, I guess. What else do we get? Carpeting luggage area on them all, full floor carpeting on them all, cigarette lighting just on the Deluxe model though, ashtray front and rear on them all, lidded glove box on them all, and twin sun visors on them all. Now the base model just gets a speedometer and odometer. The Deluxe model adds a trip meter and variable instrument lighting and a clock, and then they all get a fuel gauge, temperature gauge, 2-speed wipers, 2-speed heater fan, full floor heater ventilator. And then it starts to list what warning lights you can get: oil pressure, high beam, generator, handbrake, brake fluid, hazard warning lights, hazard flashers, steering lock on them all. We also get a padded steering wheel centre on them all, padded steering wheel rim on the Deluxe. They all get interior lights, they all get reclining front seats. Front passenger seat walk-in is on the base and the Deluxe, but we're just talking about the 3-door version obviously. Tinted glass on the Deluxe, rubber bumper inserts on the Deluxe, side body rubbing strips on them all, half cap wheel trim Deluxe, rear window wiper wash Deluxe, armrest on all doors Deluxe, front and rear grab handles Deluxe, rear coat hook Deluxe, luggage compartment cover Deluxe, wood grain fascia Deluxe, parcel shelf document case Deluxe, side window demister Deluxe, day-night rear view mirror Deluxe, child-proof rear door locks on the 4-door Deluxe, and an electrically opening switch for the hatchback door on the Deluxe versions. We've got the specs starting with the 1000, some of the size dimensions there at the top, and the weights, towing weights as well, and luggage capacity before we get to the engine. So the 1000 is actually a 985cc engine there by the looks of it, 45 bhp at 5500 revs per minute, fuel regular 2-star, oil capacity, fuel system, carburetor, pump mechanical filter, and then the tank capacity, gears 4 forward and 1 reverse, all synchromesh though, gear ratios, etc, etc. I'm not going to read it all, but you can certainly pause it if you do want to read it into any great detail. Then it continues talking about that 1000, so like we said, disc drum setup. And it starts talking about the 1300. Exact size of this engine is actually 1272cc, 60 bhp at 5500 revs per minute. And then some information about the transmission, and of course you could have this as an automatic transmission as well if you did opt for that Deluxe 5-door. And then finally, this is where your dealer stamp would normally stamp the brochure, and then the date of the brochure, October 1978. And I just flick back quickly, and I think this is red one's the only one that's actually showing the very base model. If you notice, it doesn't have that black strip on the chrome bumper, whereas all the others do. But thank you so much for watching Quarterlight today for the Mazda 323. Do you remember these models? Interesting cars with that rear wheel drive layout. But thank you so much for watching. Please do like and subscribe if you've not done already, and we'll see you very soon. So take care and goodbye.